Have you ever stopped to think about what's really powering your home? And I don't just mean the electricity itself. I'm talking about the invisible set of rules, the hidden code that decides exactly how that power is laid out. Today, we're going to pull back the drywall and look at the one fundamental rule that creates the electrical foundation for pretty much every house out there.
I mean, think about it for just a second. How many things have you got plugged in right now? You've got your phone, your laptop, the TV, maybe a smart speaker, all those kitchen gadgets, the list just goes on and on. But here's the real question. Was your home's wiring actually designed to handle all that stuff? Well, the answer is kind of buried in a hidden code.
You see, the outlets and lights in your house aren't just placed wherever an electrician felt like it. It's actually a carefully calculated system. It's a master plan designed to keep you safe, prevent overloads, and make sure you have power where you need it. And that whole plan follows a very specific rule book.
Now, that rule book is called the National Electrical Code, or the NEC. And don't worry, we are not about to read some dense, boring document. The best way to think about the NEC is as a safety manual, really. It's what electricians use to make sure your home's wiring can handle daily life without, causing some serious problems.
A really central idea in this code is something called the minimum unit load. It's basically the absolute rock-bottom baseline of power that any new house has to be able to support. And to figure that out, electricians use a special unit of measurement.
And that unit is the volt-ampere, or VA. Honestly, the easiest way to wrap your head around it is to think of it like a power budget for your house. Every single light, every appliance you plug in, it spends a little bit from this budget. The NEC's job is just to make sure you start with a big enough budget in the first place.
So, how is this power budget actually calculated? How do they know what the minimum is? Well, it all comes down to one simple, surprisingly powerful number that's right at the heart of the entire code.
This is it, 3 volt amps per square foot. It might not look like much, but this single number from the National Electrical Code is the absolute bedrock of residential electrical design. This is the hidden figure that decides the minimum amount of power your home is built to handle.
So, to put that in plain English, it just means that for every single square foot of living space in your home, the electrical system has to provide at least 3 volt amperes of power. And that's specifically for your general lighting and all those everyday outlets. And the math here is super simple. You take the total square footage of the home, let's just say it's 2,000 square feet to make it easy, you multiply that number by 3, and boom, 6,000 volt amps. That number right there is the minimum general power budget your home's electrical system has to support. And listen, this isn't just some guideline or a rule of thumb. It is written right there in the code. Section 220.41 of the NEC says it plain as day. It's pretty brilliant, actually, because this one simple standard ensures that every home built across the country has a consistent and safe level of electrical capacity. Okay, so we've got our minimum power budget. We know how to calculate it. The next obvious question is, what does that budget actually pay for? What's included in this basic calculation? The code is actually very specific about this. This 3VA rule isn't meant to cover every single high-power thing you could possibly own. It's really designed to create a solid foundation for the absolute essentials. So this minimum budget covers all of your general use wall plugs, for things like lamps, phone chargers, the vacuum. It also covers the required outlets in places like your laundry area, all of the basic lighting in the house, and even tiny motors like the exhaust fan in your bathroom. So the whole point of this rule is to guarantee that the fundamental electrical guts of your house are safe and have enough juice for general everyday life. It's the foundation.
But, like we talked about at the beginning, everyday life in the 21st century looks a whole lot different than it used to, and that means this minimum is really just the beginning of the conversation.
Let's be crystal clear about this. The number one job of the National Electrical Code is to set a safe floor. It's there to prevent dangerous situations from happening and to make sure there's a baseline level of power. It is not designed to predict your specific lifestyle. And that is the absolute key. Your life, with its powerful computers, a home theater setup, maybe even an electric car in the garage, it often requires way more than that minimum baseline. The code gets you a safe starting point, but you have to plan for how you actually live. I mean, think about it. That dedicated circuit you need for a home office that's loaded with tech? Or what about the special high-power circuits for your oven or your microwave? And the really big one these days? An EV charger. None of that is part of the basic 3VA rule. All of those are considered additional loads that get calculated on top of that foundation. And that right there is the most important thing to take away from all of this.
Understanding the 3VA rule shows you the absolute starting line for your home's electrical system. It's the solid, safe foundation. But building a home that's truly ready for modern life means you have to plan well beyond it, making sure your system is designed not just for the code, but for your life.
And all this kind of leaves us with one last big question. As we keep adding more and more technology to our homes, smart devices everywhere, electric vehicles becoming the norm, is a rule that was designed decades ago still going to be enough? It really makes you wonder, as our homes get smarter, how do the fundamental rules that power them need to evolve too?